Up, Grayson Report? I am back with another video, and today we're simply just going to tell some ghost stories. So turn the lights off, pull the covers up, and prepare to be spooked right after this. I was searching the internet and I did find 43 ghost stories that are so spooky they'll haunt you for weeks. And if you know me, you know I love ghost stories. And if you have a ghost story you would like to share, please email graysonreport13@gmail.com and I will tell your story on my next live. And this particular one is from BuzzFeed. And it starts off, if you truly believe in ghosts, you probably have a creepy as all heck personal story that acts as your main stage reason for believing. And let me tell you, these stories are spooky, y'all. Here are just a few of the scariest ghost stories we could find on Reddit, including supernatural sightings and otherworldly encounters. Number 1, I was visiting my mother after my dad died. She went shopping with her sister and left me alone in her house. I heard my dad, as plain as day, up in his room. He got up from his computer chair, walked over to the door, and opened it. He walked down the stairs and stood on the last step for a few seconds before walking back up to his room and closing the door. I was probably 5 feet from him in the living room. I just froze. It scared the hell out of me. Needless to say, I was a believer after that. Number 2, I worked at a public pool. At night, I would work alone after hours cleaning the building and the pool. One night, around 2 a.m., I was cleaning the changing rooms. The pool has been closed for 4 hours at this time. So suddenly, I hear the sound of a child's laughter and bare feet running across the pool deck. I go out and scan the area. There's nothing in sight. The doors are all closed and locked. There is nowhere a kid could be hiding. There are no wet footprints on the pool deck. I rechecked the doors and the security monitors. I am the only person in the building. It was unsettling. Number 3, my girlfriend's grandfather's ashes were on a little shelf in the living room right next to a very solid and heavy angel statue. One weekend, she and I are fooling around on the living room couch, and out of the corner of my eye, I see the angel statue fly off of the wall, accompanied with a deep grunt. We both stood there in shock, and after a few moments, I asked if she had heard the grunt sound as well, to which she agreed. Later that night at dinner, we told her parents what happened, leaving out the naughty bit, obviously. And Megan's young sister burst into tears, saying she had seen a dark figure at the foot of her bed the last couple of nights, but didn't want anyone to think she was crazy. After that day, I was a believer. Number 4, my uncle's house out on a very eastern part of New York was said to be haunted because the family that used to own it in the 1800s decided not to give it to the stablemen and sold it instead. My uncle's friend and her sister stayed over one night, and the friend noticed a maid bringing towels down the stairs when she woke. She saw the maid again bringing what looked like a percolator down the stairs. She was so impressed by my uncle's hiring staff. He's a neurologist in New York City, so he had a habit of spending a little bit extra. She went back to bed and woke up and later came downstairs to see my uncle and his friend just chatting. She asked where the maid went and thought that the maid was cooking breakfast. My uncle had no idea what she was talking about and asked what she looked like. The sister explained and he laughed, walked her to the living room and pointed to an old picture. She said that was the woman. My uncle replied, "Yeah, she has been dead for over 100 years." Number 5, my grandparents have a helpful ghost. Their house was built in the 1860s and they've lived in it since the late 1960s. In an intense burst of procrastination one day, I looked up ever mentioned of their address in the town's online newspaper archive and found out that the family that built the house had a daughter who grew up there, never married, and took care of her widowed father until she later died of old age. So I figured the helpful ghost is just the daughter continuing to take care of people like she did for her entire life. Over the years, various family members have heard the vacuum cleaner turn on its own, and clothes and towels that were dropped on the floor before bed have been folded and placed at the foot of the bed by morning. Number 6, we had ghosts in an old house that I lived in as a child. While being home alone, I could hear sweeping downstairs. Also, the tinkling of china and crystal from the dining room. It sounded like a party was happening and you could hear Victrola. Victrola. I walked downstairs and it all stopped. Number 7, I lived in a house for about 5 years that was haunted, but not in a malicious way, in a shitty roommate kind of way. I'd come home to the windows on the second floor being open when it was raining, to food containers being open in the fridge that I hadn't touched yet. The worst was that the ghost hated clocks. She hated them. I had antique cuckoo clocks that had worked for 50 years that would just stop. Brand new wall clocks that ate through batteries like candy. My watch ended up on the floor one morning. The crystal shattered, even though I knew I slept with it on. The one that pissed me off the most was that I got a brand new Kit Kat clock for Christmas, and the bitch threw it off the wall. I was cooking, and out of the corner of my eye saw the cat freaking fly. Turned around and it was across the kitchen, broken. It was brand new. Man, she was a bitch. All right, I would definitely not want that crazy ghost in my house. But I kind of like that one. I like that one. What do you guys think about that one? Comment below. Number 8, I lived in an old haunted house in college. Things got so weird that everyone moved out except for me and one roommate. Here's a few. Number 1, I woke up at 3 a.m. because my roommate's door kept opening and slamming shut. From bed, I yelled for him to stop, only to realize I was the only one home that weekend. And as soon as I yelled, the slamming stopped. But the hippie beads I had hanging outside my closet door began to sway perfectly, yet violently, against the door frame for half an hour, while I debated if I should pop out my air conditioning unit and jump out the window. I laid in the fetal position in bed till it stopped. Number 2, I woke up at 3 a.m. alone again, hearing the Nintendo on the back porch playing loudly. I figured a drunk kid came in and started playing. I grabbed a bat and walked toward the back of the house as the music got louder and louder. As soon as I opened the door, it was completely quiet. Mind you, it was loud enough to wake me up. Number 3, I had friends over and told them the house was haunted. No one believed me, so I asked the ghost to do anything to prove it was there. As soon as I asked, all the lights in the house began flickering for about a minute straight. This was the middle of the day. Everyone witnessed it. Number 4, almost everyone who stayed at my house had sleep paralysis at least once in the house. Number 5, every time something spooky happened, the house would smell like old lady flowery, strong perfume. Number 6, this house had a door built into the flooring that led to the basement. We always had a rug covering it up so no one knew it was there. Things would constantly go missing in the house and turn up in the basement. This house had a coal chute from when it was heated by coal back in the day. Missing stuff would always be placed on the chute for us to come and get it. Number 7, roommate had some issues. Once, while playing video games late at night, he saw a mist kind of hovering from the kitchen and the move into the bathroom. The bathroom had a trap door that led to the attic. That's where we figured the old lady ghost used to like to hang out. Number 8, roommates was up late. He went to go lock the doors and turned off lights. When he turned his back on the room and walked to the door, someone breathed into his ear. Ha! He thought it was me. I was sleeping. He turned around, pissed himself, and ran to his room. He was too afraid to come out and turn off the lights and TV. Number 9, loud thumps in attic at all hours. For peace of mind, we told ourselves squirrels must have gotten in there. Number 10, voices would wake us up in the middle of the night. I spent many mornings on the front porch waiting for the sun to come up before I went back in the house. Number 11, coincidentally, I had a friend years later that rented from the same landlord, same town, different house, where he and all of his roommates moved out because that house was also haunted. I didn't think it was too weird until he was telling me that when all of the weird stuff happened, it was accomplished by old lady flowery, stinky perfume. Also, a lot of people had sleep paralysis in that house as well. Whoa, that is crazy. Number 9, I had a 1-bedroom apartment once, and as soon as it got dark enough outside, this old dude would walk from the bedroom to the bathroom all night. Freaky. I would have to warn people the first time they came over, you were going to see a ghost. Mid conversation, people would stop talking and be like, "Holy, I just saw a ghost." Yeah, no, I warned you. One time, I was in the bathroom when he attempted to walk in and just dissolved into mist that dissipated very quickly. My current house I share with my wife is a 3-bedroom and we sleep on a futon in the living room because the ghosts in the house were chain smokers in the main bedroom. We wake up every night between 3 and 3:30 a.m. if we sleep on the second floor, coughing our lungs out because the room is full of cigarette smoke. Now that one's crazy. Like, just imagine walking into someone's house and they're like, "By the way, you're gonna see a ghost." And then you're like, "Yeah, right." And then you actually see one. That's pretty creepy. Number 10, I watched one of her cats being pulled backwards about 5 feet by her tail. She was walking through the dining area and suddenly was sliding backwards, as if someone was pulling her by her tail. Only there wasn't anyone. She freaked out and tried to run, but couldn't immediately as something held on for a brief second before letting her go. I tend to think that was the handiwork of a 4 or 5-year-old girl ghost who hangs out and she just wanted to play with the kitty. Number 11, I get sleep paralysis occasionally. It usually feels like someone has me by the throat and is pushing me into the bed. I've never seen the crazy demon that people talk about seeing, though. Mind you, I did see someone who looked exactly like myself sitting on the edge of the bed during an episode one night when I had fallen asleep with the lights on. I couldn't really make out her face, although I could see she was concerned almost. And she was wearing one of my favorite t shirts that I owned over 12 years. I don't really wear that t shirt anymore because of it. Number 12. Closest I've got to a haunted house is a haunted room. I used to sleep on the second floor, the bottom one being the first, and my sister in the attic. She used to have sleep paralysis often. Then she moved out, and now I have her old room. She no longer has sleep paralysis, but I do. Number 13, this child's closet creeper. I don't remember this myself, but my parents say that when I was young, I would run into their room crying because a man was in the closet. I describe him as a Civil War soldier, which I couldn't have known how to describe on my own given my age. After a little research, my parents found out that the last people who had lived in that house had found rare Civil War artifacts. Number 14. My grandfather was in bed reading before going to sleep, and he saw my grandmother, his wife, walk past the bedroom in a nightgown. He thought that was odd because she never wears a nightgown. A couple minutes later, she walked in the room from the same side of the hallway that she walked from earlier and got in bed. He asked why she changed into those clothes out of her nightgown right before bed. She said, "Hun, I don't wear nightgowns." The other story he told was a computer they had that was in the middle of a large circular table in the basement. They heard a big crash from the basement and naturally ran down to check it out. The computer was on the floor, broken. To this day, he insists it could not have fallen on its own as it was in the middle of the table. Number 15. When I was younger, my parents would frequently go run errands in the neighborhood city, and he gone most of the day from morning to night, and be gone most of the day from morning to night. Our living room was in a spot where you would have to walk through it to get from the back door to reach either the front door or my parents' room. You would walk between the couch and the TV while doing so. So I was home alone, and my dad came through the back door, walked in front of me as he crossed the room and entered his and my mom's room. Then he came back out, walked across my field of vision once again, and I left through the back door. He didn't look at me, look at the TV, or really do anything besides walk across the room in both directions. When I asked him what he came home for or if he forgot something, he honestly had no clue what I was talking about. They were an hour and a half away, and coming home for something they forgot would not have made much sense. He was also wearing different clothes when I spoke with him compared to when I saw him earlier. Such a strange experience, and I only saw it that one time. Ooh, that is creepy. Number 16. My wife claims she also had a doppelganger event with her brother. She said that she was pissed off at him because he didn't walk the dog, so she was taking the dog out when she ran into her brother downstairs in the building lobby or parking lot, and he was with a friend she never met. Her brother asked her for the house keys, and she said no because she was mad at him. He told her he was thirsty, and she walked away. When she got back home, he was not anywhere. As soon as she walked in, she got a call from a hospital that her brother was having an asthma attack and wanted her to go keep him company. What freaks her out the most is thinking, what would have happened if I would have given him the keys? Would they have gone through his hands or what? Number 17. When I was around 9 to 10 years old, I remember waking up to see a large shadow standing at the foot of my bed. I was living with my dad at the time. He has a very large 5-floor terrace house built in the 1800s. Every so often, there would be an unexplained event happen, such as footsteps when there's no one there or voices. On the night this happened, it was just my dad and I in the house. My sister was staying at my mom at the time. I woke up and noticed the door to my room was wide open. I normally sleep with it closed, and then became aware of a large, around 7 foot tall, shadow like figure watching me from the end of the bed. When the figure noticed me looking, it seemed to melt into the floor, and the door to my room slammed shut. Understandably, I was slightly traumatized by the whole experience. Asked my dad the next day if he was in my room, and he denied any knowledge of the event. He's not the type of person who likes jokes. Number 18. My husband and I owned a martial arts school, and the building that it's in, which we also own, is about 130 years old next to a church. And I never, and still don't really, there has to be another explanation, believed in the paranormal. But the things that happened in it didn't just happen to me. It was a decrepit, which was why it was so cheap to purchase. And we basically did all the work ourselves. Old, creaky, drafty. A bunch of things happened there. Here's one. One Saturday morning, my husband was on his computer in another room. I'm in the apartment playing with the Tamagotchi app on my iPad when I hear the stereo sitting in front of me click on, and a girl's voice started talking from it. I thought he controlled the stereo from his computer, so I ignored it because he often put on music to work out before a class started. He teaches the morning class. I do remember thinking what kind of weird ass indie music is he's listening to anyway, because the voice just said, "Hi, my name is." I thought I heard Katie, but I'm not 100% sure because I wasn't paying attention. I have never known a Katie in my life. I am blank years old. I'm from blank, etc. I didn't catch the specifics because I wasn't really listening. But that went on for about 2 or 3 minutes until it suddenly went, "Something's hurting me." And when I caught that, I looked up and squinted at the stereo like, "What? Something's killing me? Something killed me?" At this point, the hair is standing on the back of my neck, and I'm getting up from the couch to take a closer look. Please, someone tell my parents, tell the teachers, tell the corrections officers. At the words correction officer, I just bolt into the other room and started yelling at my husband and cursing him out because I was certain he was playing a trick on me. Told him, "We don't effing play jokes about dead people." And he's, of course, looking at me like, "What the F?" When he finally calmed me down long enough to get what I heard out of me and what I was accusing him of, he told me it was impossible and led me to the stereo. It's not plugged in. I thought maybe the stereo picked up the signal from an ebook or something. Number 19. When I was younger, I used to take naps upstairs, but by the time I was 8 years old, I absolutely refused to go upstairs. The upstairs had two large closets. Attics? They ran from side to side of the upstairs all the way to the other side on both sides. It was essentially a crawl space that was maybe 30 feet long. It started one day when a friend and I went from one side to the other with flashlights like kids normally do. Then I saw a girl sitting there in the corner, acting like she wanted to play with us. I know a lot of people say when they see a ghost, they aren't scared, just interested. Nope. I was beyond terrified. This girl looked normal but blonde hair, a nice dress, and seemed friendly. I stayed silent, kept crawling behind my friend, and got out of the closet. Told him what I saw in there. He said he didn't see it, but felt like he didn't want to go back in. Then my parents would occasionally send me upstairs to get something, and when I would get up there, I would see the door swing open, as if they were trying to get me to come inside. I would lose toys and wouldn't be able to find them anywhere. Suddenly, my parents would be fishing Christmas presents out of the attic, and we would find some of my toys in there. I remember being 8 years old. My parents are asleep still in the morning, and I leashed up my dog to go take on the monster in the attic. My dog, usually up for anything, refused to go up to the top step in the attic. My parents never believed me with all the weird things that happened in that house. I would get blamed for things that happened all over the house, leaving lights on, toys all over, things I knew I didn't do. Well, anyway, we moved out of there when I was 10. Not a week passed before the new owners called us up and asked if the house is haunted. Their daughter slept upstairs. She said that she had been playing with a blonde-haired girl at night. My parents laughed at how crazy these new homeowners must be. To make an already long story short, the girl started appearing in other parts of the house. For them, they kept in contact with us. They would look over while watching TV and see the girl sitting on their daughter's lap, etc. They looked up on the computer the past owners of the house, found an old dressmaker that lived there, and yep, a picture of the little girl wearing one of the ladies' dresses. Number 20. I used to live in an old big 5-bedroom house with 6 other people. My significant other and I shared one of the rooms. I saw a stranger in my room when I was in my 20s. It wasn't exactly visible, but I somewhat knew it was right there in the corner of my room. My significant other was next to me sleeping while I had my eyes open. I knew it was there, so I closed my eyes. I tried to wish it away. I opened my eyes and it was now next to the bed, looking at me. I closed my eyes again and suddenly relief came. I opened my eyes, nothing there. I saw it once again at the stairs. It was only a brief moment this time, and then it was gone. All right, guys, I am going to stop there and I will continue reading the rest on Saturday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time when I go live. And just a reiteration, I do go live Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you guys would like to support the channel, I would provide the details in the description below. And guys, what did you think about these ghost stories? Which one was your favorite? Comment below. And I will see you on the next one. Stay spooky.